Welcome to Electric Car Australia and our latest video looking at the latest budget EV to come to Australia from BYD. We'll also look at its closest comparison vehicles being the MG ZS EV and also the Hyundai Kona, and we'll check out the company that's importing them into Australia and look at how you can order one and how long you'll need to wait. So stay with us. So at 7 p.m. on Saturday, February 19, EV Direct launched the latest BYD vehicle into the Australian market and started accepting orders. Now look, it was via a gala event in Sydney. BYD's opened a showroom down there. Unfortunately, we are nowhere near important enough to have an invite to something like that. However, Tesla Tom was there and he done quite a good video and walk around of that, so we'll include a link to that one in the show notes, so by all means check that out. But what we're going to look at today is the vehicle itself. We'll do some comparisons between the MG ZS EV and the Hyundai Kona, and then we'll see how you can order one of these BYD Atto 3s. Now that's what they've called it in Australia. It's actually the Yuan Plus in China, so this is obviously a Chinese vehicle. And last night when it launched, the website was about 5 or 10 minutes catching up, so it was a little bit late to launch. It didn't crash or anything, so that was good. And a couple of the links didn't work, so booking a test drive link wasn't working. But other than that, it seemed like the launch went off without a hitch. So let's have a quick look at the vehicle itself. So as I mentioned, the Atto 3 it's called, comes in 3 different colours, so they're keeping the price down there via the colours. And it comes in 2 different model versions. There'll be the Superior and the Superior Long Range. So prices start at $44,400 roughly there, drive away here in Australia. And that'll jump up to $47,400 if you want the extended range. Now look, these vehicles aren't going to be available until July of this year, so you do have a little bit of a wait like most vehicles. But in general, our first impressions were that this is obviously for the budget end of the EV market, and I would say it competes directly with the MG ZS EV. The price is exactly the same, even though the current model or the first generation ZS EVs are starting to get a little bit hard to find in Australia. Stocks are nearly run out. The pricing's pretty much smack on, and the features and specifications are also very similar. There's slight differences, but we'll have a look at those shortly. Overall, the styling, so the outside styling, not remarkable, but it looks quite good. Again, I think it's probably similar to the Hyundai Kona, I should say, and the MG styling. The interior is a bit different. Now, I think this is going to be a love it or hate it sort of interior. So, is that little bit modern space age sort of stuff? In the flesh, it will probably look better, but I'm not overly taken by it just looking at it online. So yeah, that'll be a personal thing, but the exterior and the features of the vehicle seem very similar to what we've already got on the market. So no showstoppers or breathtaking advances there. So let's jump in and look at some of the specifications, and we'll also do some quick comparisons between those other couple of vehicles I mentioned. We're not going to do an in-depth comparison, but look, the overall length is about 4.4 metres, so that compares to about 4.3 metres for the ZS, so it's slightly longer than the ZS, and 4.2 for the Kona. So it's a longer vehicle than those other two. Slightly wider also at 1875, the MG's about 1800 and the Kona's about 1800 as well, so slightly wider. Overall height 1615, and I think that's with roof rails. So the ZS is 1650 and the Kona's 1570, so it's in the middle of the height range. Wheel track 1575 as they mentioned there. Wheelbase 2.7 metres, the ZS is just under 2.6 and the Kona is smack on 2.6. So again, the wheelbase is slightly longer. So from a dimensions perspective, the chassis and the frame of the vehicle is slightly larger. Cargo, so with the full seats down, it'll take 1,330 litres. So that's a bit more than the ZS. The ZS takes 1187 and the Kona is the smallest of the lot down at 1114. So cargo wise, it is a larger carrying vehicle. Not sure with the seats up, but definitely with the seats down. So the motor type there, you'll see it's a permanent magnet, synchronous motor as the others, all front wheel drive as all the others are. It's got a 150 kilowatt hour or kilowatt electric motor. The current ZS available in Australia is 105, so it's more powerful or a bigger motor than that. The new generation ZS, which we're expecting in Australia this year sometime, that's got 130, so that will be catching up. And the Hyundai Kona's got a couple of different models, so that ranges from 100 kilowatts up to 150. So again, the new BYD Atto 3 is up at the higher end. Maximum torque's 310, the MG ZS is 350, and the Kona is 395. So the torque on the BYD is actually lower than the other couple. Acceleration, not too worried about that, 7.3. This is not a car built for speed. WLTP standard kilometres. So this is a key thing that people want to know about, is just how far will the car go. So some comparisons there, 320 kilometres WLTP. That compares to the current ZS in Australia at 263, so it's better than the ZS at the moment. However, the next generation ZS, the smaller battery in that one's 320, so again, smack on, exactly the same as the new generation ZS, and the long range ZS is 440. So I think it's going to be very close to the next generation model MG ZS when it finally makes it to Australia. Comparing against the Kona, the smaller battery Kona is 305 kilometres and the larger batteries 480. Now keep in mind, of course, those WLTP ranges, you can probably take another 10% off those for real world conditions. But it gives you an idea and it allows you to do some comparisons. Seating capacity, 5, all the other vehicles are 5 as well. The efficiency, so BYD don't quote that one, but just to let you guys know, the MG is sitting at 18.6 watt hours per kilometre on WLTP, and the Hyundai Kona is down at 14.5. So as most of you will know, the Konas are a very efficient vehicle. So I'm expecting the BYD to be around the MG at about 18 or 19 watt hours per kilometre. So we'll flick over to the battery. Now they haven't told us the voltage of the battery, but we're assuming it's 400 to 500 volt architecture similar to the ZS. So it sits at about 450 and the Kona's at about 350. Battery capacities there, so 50.1 for the BYD small battery and 60.4 for the larger battery. The only MG ZS EV variant in Australia at the moment has a 44 kilowatt hour battery. The newer ones will have 53 as the small battery. And the Kona in Australia currently has a couple of models, so you've got 40 kilowatt hours and 64 kilowatt hours. So again, the BYD is pitched in the middle, but it's down the lower end. The charging, so the BYD does trump the other two models here, so it has the ability to charge at 22 kilowatts AC on 3-phase. So if you've got 3-phase capability at home or you've got AC 3-phase 22 kilowatt chargers around your shopping centre, you will be able to use those, whereas the Kona and the ZS EV, they can only both take 7.2 single phase. So bit of an advantage there. DC charging, the BYD is 80 kilowatt hours, the MG ZS is 75, and the Kona is 100 at DC. So again, sits in the middle. And the final thing, I guess, to note on that page is the warranty. So it's a 7-year body warranty and a 7-year battery warranty, which again is identical to the MG ZS EV. So we won't go through these ones individually. You guys can check those out on the screen. But look, again, the features there and the specifications look pretty similar to the ZS and also the Kona. Interestingly, they don't mention, and we'll talk about this a little bit further, but they don't mention the safety. Kona and the ZS EV have 5 stars, and I think it's ANCAP safety ratings. These guys don't mention it, so maybe they're still going through testing, but I would certainly expect it would be 5 stars, fingers crossed. DAB digital radio, so if that's a big thing for you, it's got that. I know our MG ZS does not have that, but other than that, it looks very similar to the Hyundai and the MG. And here's the safety stats. So again, won't go through these, you guys can read those, but very similar to the other 2 vehicles. And this is where I mentioned we'd be expecting these to have 5 stars as well. So look, that's it, a quick summary of the Atto 3 by BYD, just released into Australia last night. So orders did open up via evdirect.com.au. Now that's a recently incorporated company in Australia. So just late last year, they started that company. And what they're doing is they'll be a marketplace or an online dealer, I guess, for electric vehicles. Now they've started out with BYD as the first brand. And they did actually have a couple of other BYD vehicles they bought in very, very small numbers. So that was the E6 little sort of station wagon. That one's sold out. There was only a handful of those bought in. And I'm not sure whether they bought the T3 van in or not. They might just be looking for numbers and trying to get some interest in that. But basically they are not having showrooms. BYD's opened a showroom in Sydney, but these guys will be sort of the direct dealer distributors, I guess. Not via showrooms, etc., but they'll take your order. You have to pay for your car fully up front as well. So I guess they're trying to really limit the risk on volume and also finances that they take on. So hopefully that flows through to low prices. And I was a little interested. I thought the price might have came in slightly under the MG, given there's no dealer networks, etc. There's no overheads and costs there, whereas MG have got obviously, I'm not sure, 100 dealers around Australia or more. So that's obviously a big overhead and cost. However, let's see as they bring in some more BYD models, which they're going to do over the next 12 or 18 months, let's see what the pricing comes in for those. And we are hoping to get some even smaller, more budget cars coming in. EV Direct also, I think, have ambitions to bring in other brands, so we could see other Chinese brands coming in under the EV Direct umbrella as well. So as I mentioned, there's no dealer networks, salespeople, etc. So what they're going to be doing is they will be taking bookings, I guess, for test drives. Now on the screen there, you'll see the My Car locations that you can pick your vehicle up. And I noticed in Brisbane there's only one, that's My Car at Stafford. So some of you might remember the My Car branded service centres or mechanics. Used to be the old Kmart Tyre and Auto. So they're now My Car. And that's who they're going to use to not only service the vehicles. So if you buy a BYD vehicle in Australia, My Car will be your the preferred service or the recommended service centre or mechanics for those. But that's also where you'll pick your car up when you order it. And I'm assuming over time that that's also where there will be a car available for test drives and a touch and feel. So it hasn't been confirmed yet. As I mentioned on the website, that particular link is actually inactive and not working, but assuming that that is how that's going to work. So again, that type of business model is trying to keep the cost down using an existing network of mechanics and service centres and plugging on an additional service for those guys. So that's it, our quick review and a little bit about the BYD Atto 3 here in Australia. Unfortunately, we're not going to see them on the road until July this year, and fingers crossed we don't have any delays, but it is good to see some more budget EVs coming onto the market. We really need these here in Australia. We've got lots and lots of luxury, high performance, expensive EVs. We need more of this budget end. And that's, I guess, one thing to mention when we're looking at the BYD, the MG ZS and the Kona. Even the Kona, there's about a $10,000 or $15,000 difference in price. So you're jumping from the MG BYD price up to the Kona. very similar vehicles as in look and feel and specifications. Kona is obviously more efficient, but you're paying a 10 to 15% premium for the Hyundai. So we really need more of these budget vehicles in Australia, and the sooner we can get some, the better. And we'll be keeping our eye out and bringing you guys videos on any additional ones that look like they're going to come this way. So thanks very much for watching. Really appreciate your support. If you haven't, please click that subscribe button. That really helps us out. Also the bell icon so you're notified of any new videos we put up. And if you've got a few bob to spare, I'll include our PayPal donation link below. We are looking at purchasing some more gear so we can improve the quality of our videos, and it really goes a long way to helping us. We are 100% independent, so we don't accept any sponsorships or dollars from businesses, corporates, etc. So the generosity of you guys really helps us improve our content. That's it. Stay safe, take care, look after your friends and family, and we'll talk soon.